What is the answer? Are there tapes? The president in the Rose Garden today, we knew that there was going to be some pushback after the first tweet hit this morning early. Despite so many false statements and lies, total and complete vindication. And wow, Comey is a leaker. We start there with our expanded panel. Jonah Goldberg, senior editor at National Review. Lisa Booth, columnist with the Washington Examiner. Julie Pace, White House correspondent for the Associated Press. And Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. I call this my Goldberg bookend.
And we're just in the middle.
Yes. Well, I'll start with the ladies.
Thanks for letting us be here, guys.
Julie, you were there. What did you think?
Well, I think the president does feel vindicated on one front, and that's the fact that James Comey did tell him 3 times that he personally was not under investigation as it relates to the Russian collusion during the election. But obviously, there is a lot that is left on the table here, and we're in a situation right now where, because so many of these conversations were just the president and Comey, it's Comey's word against Trump's. And you heard Trump say he will testify under oath, he will talk to Bob Mueller if he is required. This question about whether there are tapes hangs over all of this. You have to imagine the only kind of rational explanation here is that if he is going to the mat with his explanation that there either are tapes that vindicate him on that front or no tapes exist at all. But again, impossible to get that answer, which is really stunning.
You know, you wonder about the PR motions here and the specter of tapes after a big hearing where someone's testifying about alleged obstruction of justice. It just doesn't, it's not a great image.
It's called winging it. I mean, I was watching this today, and I thought he's just winging these answers on this. I mean, do you think there's tapes? I mean, I have no sense of this question.
There's not a feeling at the White House.
I mean, nobody thinks there's tapes,
well,
do they?
The only reason that I think it actually is an open question is because Trump has a history of taping his conversations and his phone calls in his businesses and even during the campaigns. And that's the only reason I think people are still actually waiting for a definitive answer. But there's no evidence. We've seen no proof of it at the White House.
Anyway, sorry.
No. I just, I was watching that also, keeping in mind what his lawyer, I mean, I've been deposed. A lot of us journalists have been deposed before. You know that one thing that your lawyer says is don't offer anything. Don't offer to talk more than you have to talk. And I just thought his lawyers, White House counsel, you know, other lawyers are thinking, oh, God, please don't promise to talk to Mueller. Please don't say these things. You know, Comey was under oath. That's serious. You're going to be under oath. That's serious. Like I said, I feel like we're in a process of watching a presidency wing itself.
Lisa, on the flip side, this is his style, is to be aggressive, and he obviously feels confident after that testimony yesterday.
Well, and I think he should feel, or I think he should be aggressive in this. I mean, look, what was the worst thing that came out of the hearing for him? That Comey called him a liar the morning of. There was a poll, and 70% of Americans didn't believe him in regard to the Russia investigation and other related matters. So that's where he started at the beginning of the hearing. So I don't think Comey calling him a liar is going to do much more in terms of that number. But I also think that everyone else was discredited in the process as well. You look at Comey was discredited. I think his motives should be questioned from the hearing as well. The media as well. And Chris Matthews had said that the Russia-Trump narrative basically fell apart after the hearing, and also the Obama administration as well, with Loretta Lynch and Comey's testimony that she instructed him to use the word matter as opposed to investigation. So I think everyone else is now in muddied waters as well. And 3 things that Comey said that I think should be brought into question. One, going back to his May 3rd statement, his testimony the other day sure seems in contradiction to that. Also, Comey testified that he released the memos in response to Trump's May 12th tweet. Well, there's a New York Times article on May 11 which closely mirrors those memos. That was the day before Trump tweeted. So we already know that Comey leaked. Was that him? I think it's fair to question that. He also said that no reasonable prosecutor would have brought charges against Hillary Clinton. Well, as Senator Rich pointed out, nobody has ever been prosecuted for hoping something. So I think there are a lot of things to also question the FBI director as well.
So, Jonah, on that, the FBI and the Trump administration is going to file through his lawyer a challenge to the DOJ on this releasing of documents. Is that something that's fruitful?
I don't know. Look, I'm getting some deja vu on all of this. To me, this is in a sort of Benny Hill-like sped-up version, a replay of the 1990s with Bill Clinton and Ken Starr, where the Trump forces, all they want to do is discredit the special counsel, attack his credibility, attack him, while at the same time...
Well, this was the FBI director. The special counsel is Mueller, and...
Right, I know. They're attacking, in this case, they're attacking the messenger in the form of Comey, but my guess is Mueller's day will come. Meanwhile, we're hearing, you know, when Donald Trump says he would love to be deposed under oath, you know, that's what got Bill Clinton impeached. It is mind-boggling. You have to think that poor, you know, Don McGahn must be mainlining black tar heroin at the thought that his client is going to be deposed under oath. It's insane. There's not a lawyer out there who thinks that's a good idea. My guess is it's just bluster. And so I think that what we're seeing here is this very strange argument where Donald Trump says, I mean, he literally says in tweets and in that press conference today, he says simultaneously, I'm 100% vindicated, and so much of what Comey said are lies. Well, those things are hard to square. You can't say he's lying about all the inconvenient bits, but he's totally telling the truth about the parts that exonerate you. This is going to have a long half-life, and that's the bad news for Donald Trump.
Talk radio.
I'm still thinking about the black tar heroin.
Yeah,
by the way, I'm still on the Don McGahn on black tar heroin.
It's a Friday.
Yeah, wow.
Digest it all.
That's a serious dysfunction in the White House. Yeah.
The people in the middle America who voted for Trump,
yeah.
A lot of them listened to Rush Limbaugh. Here is Rush Limbaugh today on this whole thing.
And I'm talking about the vast majority of people on the left. They are now being defined and governed by a raw, sheer hatred. And this next is important. That hatred is combined with daily affirmation that the best they've got to get rid of Donald Trump is not working. And that just infuriates them even more. We don't have any crimes. We haven't been told what crimes are being pursued. All we have been is lied to.
So there's a lot of feeling, you know, that where's the there? And we don't know what we don't know as we're reporting this.
Well, that is the interesting thing. Mueller is going to take a long time. We don't know how long it's going to take to find out what the there is. There's a lot of smoke, and you know it's a cliche, but sometimes there's often fire. But I'm open to the idea that there's less here than meets the eye. I'm also very much open to the idea that people get in trouble when they try to cover up things that aren't as serious as the cover-up becomes. I just have to, I never thought I would say this, I'm disagreeing with Rush Limbaugh on your show, but I think Jim Comey, and I'm disagreeing with Lisa as well, I think Jim Comey is not discredited in this. I mean, I think he came out of this looking fairly straightforward. He looked like he admitting the leaking. First of all, Donald Trump being upset by somebody leaking is a little bit rich. Let's just leave that there. This is a situation in which I think Comey was quite forthcoming, and it's a situation in which the former director of the FBI called the president a liar under oath. That's very novel. That's a very novel experience in American public life.
It is, and that was a big moment at the beginning of that hearing, especially as he laid that out.
Yeah.
Outside of what he had already testified. Turning in. I guess the question that kept on coming up, Julie, was that why didn't the FBI director, the same guy who under the Bush administration stood up to power and said this does not stand, why did that same guy not say, Mr. President, this is inappropriate. We need to get the Attorney General back in here. You can't do that. You may not know this, but you can't do that.
I think that's where Comey actually was the weakest in the testimony. It was a huge question going in, given everything that had been reported about his interactions, and I don't think we came out of it with any clear answer. He essentially says, you know, I wish I could have been stronger. I wish I could have been more courageous. But you know, particularly that meeting that he described so vividly in the Oval Office, where he talks about Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General, lingering behind him, perhaps feeling like this was uncomfortable. Jared Kushner perhaps trying to stop this interaction. Like, this seems like it's playing out over a period of minutes, perhaps, where he could have stepped in and said something, and he didn't. And I do think that is a weakness in his case, not to draw any conclusions that he may be misleading what he said, but it does raise a question. Why didn't you say anything?
All right, down the row, are there tapes?
No, and they've just been asked for by the Russia Committee.
Right.
I have no idea. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't even have a yes or no?
I don't,
okay, all right.
I don't know. I simply don't.
I don't think there are.
Hard to believe that there are.